How do you tell if your cow is pregnant? That is the question that we are going to answer today. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Dr. Adera. Remember to view, to like, to comment, to subscribe and share. Stay with me until the end. Thank you. Yeah, so we are going to Kehancha. That is where we are going to do a pregnancy diagnosis. This is it's a very busy border. Today you can see people are harvesting. Not harvesting exactly, but they are loading corn. People call it corn. Others call it maize. We call it maize here. This border town is usually busy. Uh, because in this area people grow a lot of corns. So don't be surprised to see we are heading from Isebania to Kehancha. That is where we are going to do our pregnancy tests on our cow. So make sure to tune until the end. It's gonna be very educative and very interesting. So we've finally arrived. We have arrived. This is the place, so come with me. I show you what you're going to do today. Are you Coco? So welcome back again. So this is our cow. This is the cow that we're going to check today. So like I asked, how do you know if your cow is pregnant? And what is the importance of knowing if your cow is pregnant? Number one, the importance is that you are able to save costs. For example, if your animal was bred by a bull or it was served through artificial insemination, and then let's say unfortunately they did not conceive, some animals have this tendency of not coming back on heat again, what we call estrus. So you're feeding the animal, but the animal is not pregnant and time is moving. So that becomes a loss to you as a farmer, because as a farmer, every year you want a calf. Every year you want a calf because the calf is the future of your herd. So it's very important to be able to do the pregnancy diagnosis after some time once your animal is served. Now the next thing is what are the different ways of knowing if your cow is pregnant? Now there are 4 different ways. Number one, ultrasound. I know most of you know ultrasound, and I don't know if you know also that we do ultrasound in cows. So ultrasonography is also done in cows. Number 2, we measure hormone levels. There are certain hormones that we measure that tell us if the animal is pregnant. Number 3, we measure certain proteins. There are certain proteins that are released when an animal is pregnant. Number 4, we do manually what we call transrectal palpation, and that is what we are going to do today. I'm going to insert my hand in the rectum of the animal. Now before I do that, I want to explain these four methods. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Now let's start with the ultrasound. What are the advantages of ultrasound? First of all, with ultrasound, within 28 days, you're able to do a pregnancy test. Okay? Within 28 days, you're able to do a pregnancy test. Within 50 to 70 days, you're able to sex the fetus. Okay? So you're able to know the pregnancy, you're able to know the sex of the fetus. Also, with an ultrasound, you are able to see the heartbeat of the animal. So you can even see your animal, you can see the heartbeat. You can even with an ultrasound, you can give an estimate of the age of the fetus inside the animal. And now the disadvantage with ultrasound probably is the expense. An ultrasound may be expensive to some people. Okay. Now the next one we talked about is hormones. A hormone, like let's say progesterone. For those who did biology, there was an hormone called progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone of pregnancy. Now with the hormone, you might get what we call a false positive result. For example, if you test your hormones too early, when an animal, after the cow has given birth, let's say something less than 90 days, even 30 days, you'll find those hormones in blood, and you might think the animal is pregnant, but it is not pregnant. So that is called a false positive. Okay. So with a hormone like progesterone, you have to test at least 90 days postpartum, 90 days after the animal has given birth, and 30 days after you have served. Okay. Then the other one is testing the protein levels. The same with the protein levels. There are certain proteins that are released. With that also, you cannot test too early. You cannot test too early because it will give you a false positive result. Okay. So with that, with the protein again, the good thing, okay, let me say the advantage of both is that they cannot give you a false negative. If the progesterone levels of the animal are low or the protein levels are low, then that is definitely a negative. So there's no false negative when it comes to hormone or proteins that you test. But then there's a false positive. There's a possibility that you might get a false positive result. So those are the advantages and disadvantages. Now for the transrectal, the one that I insert my hand, what is the disadvantage of this? Or maybe the challenge? The challenge is that it needs a very experienced and skilled veterinarian or technician. You need some experience. You need and that comes with time. The more you do, the more you become experienced. Now for transrectal, how do we do transrectal? Like I said, we insert our hand over the cow. Now this is an empty cow. Is it? I don't know if it's visible. This is an empty cow. This is the pelvic cavity. This is where the birth, the uterus. That is where it rests when the cow is empty. So it's somewhere around here. It's just here. So if you insert your hand and you find it's empty, then everything is usually inside here, and the structures are small in size. So we call that a non-gravid uterus. So that is again the structure. I insert my hand here. This is an illustration of the hand. I don't know if you can see. And then this is the uterus. So I insert my hand. I locate the cervix here. Then I palpate the uterus. I touch the uterus. Okay. So it's very important. Actually, the aim of pregnancy diagnosis is to actually identify the empty cows so that they can be bred again either by a bull or through artificial insemination. Then at about 90 to 100 days, the uterus is growing. The uterus is growing, and this is how it will look. These dots, we call them cotyledons. They're attachments of the placenta and the uterus of the animal. So you will see this, and then there's fluid in the uterus. So those are some of the things that we call the cardinal signs of pregnancy, the structures that we are looking for in a pregnant animal. So you just insert your hand and you look for these structures. And then at 4 to 5 months, the uterus is growing bigger and bigger at 4 to 5 months. So this is how it looks, and the calf is growing. Look at also these placentums; they are growing in size. So it's descending. Actually, it's going down. It's moving from here and going down. So even if you insert your hand, you might not be able to touch everything. You'll probably just touch the tip. Okay. And then at 6 to 7 months, now the calf is growing even bigger and bigger. And now it's descending down, further down at about 6 to 7 months. Okay, so this process of transrectal palpation, it needs a skilled veterinarian or technician. It needs a lot of skill and experience to be able to diagnose. Some people say that they just diagnose by seeing, but you see, that is very deceptive sometimes if it is not late in the pregnancy, because you might see your animal that is well fed, is big, is very full, and you assume that it's pregnant. I've had a client who told me, "Hey, Daktari, I saw the calf playing inside. It was even kicking. Only for me to go and check and find that the animal was not actually pregnant." So, but at about from 5 months onward, the udder starts descending. At 7 months, obviously, 8 months, externally you can be able to see the udder is growing bigger. Yeah, but at early stages, between day 0 maybe to 5 months, it's difficult to tell unless the animal is tested by a skilled veterinarian. Now, the next thing, I'm going now to do the test and see if this animal is pregnant. I'm going to explain what do you need to do transrectal palpation. Okay, so stay tuned and make sure to watch until the end. So what do you need to do transrectal palpation the animal? The first thing you need is what we call the AI sleeves. So the other thing I need is lubricant, but if you don't have a lubricant, here we use soap. Then you need water. Okay, so I'm going to wear this in my left hand. I normally use my left hand. So I put this on, but first I make sure that I fold here so that I don't dirty myself. Then I take my soap and water and I apply as much soap as I can, because remember, this is a very uncomfortable experience for the animal. You can imagine uh, your hand, someone inserting the hand through the rectum. So I lubricate my hand using this soap. These are improvised lubricants. And then I make sure the animal is restrained properly. Then I shape my hand like this in a cone shape. Then I insert gently, just gently. At first, the animal may try to resist, but I just insert gently, gently until it allows me. Now, if it pushes, then I don't resist the push. I just let it push. Then I insert my whole hand. So now I'm checking. I'm checking. I'm locating the cervix as I showed you. Now, there are three things when you do a pregnancy diagnosis. There are three results. One, either the animal is pregnant. Two, the animal is not pregnant. Or three, you are not sure if the animal is pregnant. Three things, okay? So This one I'm telling to technicians and veterinarians, don't be afraid to say that you're not sure if the animal is pregnant. Never be afraid, because the thing with the transrectal palpation is that you can do it now and then you give it some time and you do it later. You give time to the animal. So like this one, I would say that we need to give it time. We need to give it maybe another 21 or 30 days, and then I come back and I do the procedure again. Yes. So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and share.